Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Machine Learning Study Jam. I'm Rachel and I will be your MC for today. For this week, we will have Dr. Yu Yong Poh, who is part of the Tensorflow and Deep Learning Malaysia Committee, and Dr. Tan Chi Wee, Senior Lecturer and Program Leader at Thai University College, Malaysia, as our guest speakers. Before we begin, let me address some of the important ground rules. Firstly, please ensure that your mic is muted throughout the session. If you have any questions, you can post them on the Q&A platform Slido. The QR code and link for Slido is provided in the slides. Lastly, make sure to have fun and enjoy the session. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Yu to give us a talk about building a machine learning web application with Streamlit. And make sure to prepare your laptop as we will be having a hands-on session.
Excuse me. Okay, so I was still muted. So now can you hear me? Is my voice clear enough?
Clear.
Okay, thank you very much. And thanks to the MC and also the organizer, especially the Summer University, as well as the TensorFlow, the Deep Learning User Group for organizing this activity. I think it's a continuous 4 weeks. Today is the last session here, right? So my first question here to the participants here. Have you had your breakfast? Just a quick one. Maybe you type yes or something like this. Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, Susan, not yet. I think this is Grace, right? Not yet. Okay, Jason, yes. Thank you very much. Okay, to the participant as well, especially, of course, the committee here as well. Okay, is your laptop or computer in front of you, or you just log in using this mobile phone? Anyone? If you are ready with the desktop, or what they call it, the laptop, right? Will you please just type a yes or something like this? Okay, thank you very much again. Those who are not yet right, please quickly go there and grab your laptop or desktop or whatever. Okay, move to your computer, because today, even though this is a first session, although we call it as a talk, right? I'm going to share something that is more practical, hands-on, so that involve hands-on. Okay. Next slide, since you are okay, then please just copy and paste this link. And after this, right, the content will also be consolidated and put into the machine, what we call it, the Malaysia Study Jam content together, the GitHub together. But I just share my personal one here, and feel free to browse through. Today we are going to discuss this, and then this PDF you can see there is just about 20 something slides, because the more important part is about the practical. Okay, and let me share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So in the case, right, of course, this is my GitHub that you can see all the PDF slides, and therefore you can download it for the better view later. But right now you just need to refer to my screen, because later you are going to do something. You don't need to open so many apps or whatever. Okay. Let me minimize all the things here and let me start the slides. Of course, the title here, right, is building a machine learning web app with Streamlit. So for the last 3 weeks, you have learned those are the fundamental data science. All those are from the pre-processing until the modeling and so on. Okay. Yeah, I think the committee, I will just control my mouse for all these things, because later I need to go to the GitHub and so on. Okay. So let me adjust it. Then, right, when we talk about the, okay, let me readjust it again. Okay. So the reason that we have this web application is because that we want to build something that is more user-friendly. That is more user-friendly, that people don't need to see all those codes and also those mathematical equations and so on. What people will see is just a web URL, and then with some drag and drop feature, and yet they can perform the entire machine learning. That is the purpose of building this web application, whereby one of the important library to build this web application, right, we call it Streamlit. Of course, there are some other libraries to perform this or to create this kind of web application.
I have a question.
Yep, sorry. Someone is speaking, is it?
They've muted already. You can proceed.
Okay. By the way, somehow, right, what's in my computer here, right? All the co-hosts, right, keep requesting remote control of my screen. Is it due to some technical issue there? And it broke my entire screen actually. It keep appearing. Okay, now no more already. Okay, so that's the purpose of so-called the motivation there to do this part. And next, right, the personal demo, you feel free to go here. I mean that once you download the PDF, you should be able to click the hyperlink as well. So I have this personal demo. Today, we are going to use some of the web apps that I developed. All the web apps I developed, right, for public demo and what they call it, the sharing purpose, right, I put it here. And next, yeah, this is what we are going to cover today. Introduction to Streamlit and also the comparison. Maybe some of you have heard of the like Dash and so on. So what is the difference between Streamlit and also Dash? This is the second one, right? Just based on the Python base. And the third one, right? Some of you are maybe a R developer as well. So you might have heard of Shiny, or you might have developed quite a number of web applications using Shiny. So in that case, right, I would like to compare also Streamlit versus Shiny. But let me tell you verbally, in overall, right, of course, everyone has his good thing, or so-called they call it the pro and con. It's just like driving a car. If you were to ask Proton versus Poloro, Honda versus Toyota.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, then next, right, Streamlit sharing a cloud. This is a quick intro about this Streamlit cloud. And therefore, we are going to create a web app using Streamlit and deploy it on this Streamlit cloud so that you don't need to do your, what they call it, the local settings, set up the installation and so on. Okay, to save the time, let us just use the cloud, deploy to the cloud. And after this 1 hour, like, you are able to show a URL to your friend, to your family, and so on. And this URL is actually a typical web app. So some machine learning use case through my GitHub, you can try to create your own as well. Okay, so first of all, right, please kindly register your Streamlit Cloud and GitHub. I assume that most of you have the GitHub already, right? May I double check here? Do you have your GitHub?
Excuse me, 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢?
Yes. Okay. Would you mind to just put the chat there? Do you have your GitHub account? That's nice. Okay. Then while listening to, okay. Actually, I'm still facing the issue. Always requesting remote control of my screen. Is it due to a technical issue or what? And then it appeared and broke my entire screen there. I need to declare every time. Okay, so then I think majority of the participants have the GitHub already. So please try to register your Streamlit Cloud. It should be very fast. You can even directly log into your Gmail or else a GitHub mail. Okay, sorry, the GitHub account. Then to access or to create the Streamlit Cloud, it should be very fast. And the link is also here. Let me just open it. And type it here. So I think you can still see my screen. So here, right, there's a sign up, right? All you need to do is just sign up accordingly. Go to the Streamlit.io cloud. I also sent the link through the chat room, to the chat room there. And all you need to do is just click the sign up. It's gonna take you just about 20 to 30 seconds. Okay. If possible, please try to do now because we already do the hands-on so that to smooth the entire process. And in case I think someone called me just now, right? So if you have any question, right now, feel free to ask, or else just put it into the chat room there. Okay, so for those who managed to register, will you mind to put a yes there? Not yet, internet here is slow, don't worry. Okay, from my screen, you can see that once I click sign out, it already enter my so-called Streamlit Cloud setup or configuration page, because I have already created it and already connected to my GitHub indeed. To be honest, the Streamlit, I'm a lazy guy, so when I create the account, right, I just link to my GitHub only. The easiest way, since everyone has a GitHub, right? And indeed, this Streamlit Cloud, right, will so-called build and build the entire web app based on whatever you input or insert into the GitHub. Okay, Utah one, you have done it. The rest, right, please feel free to drop a message if you have done it. So once I see more participants, right, I will continue. Thank you. Susan, Dorrance, last step. Kian Hang, thank you. Zolin. Excuse me. Okay, Xiao Tong. There's a wait a couple another moment for more. Okay, TS Nuru. Rachel, yep. Alex, I'm ready. Okay, so anyone needs more time? I think quite a number already here already. So I will just continue again. If they say you need more time, just stop me anytime. Okay, by putting a message there. Okay. So once you're ready, let me go back to this again. So first, introduction to Streamlit. You can see here, there are a couple of all these, we call it input widget. It's just that you are developing an HTML or website, but indeed, right, it's 100% in Python. That is the good thing about this Streamlit, because we know already that when we want to do some data analytics or data science project or else machine learning, AI, and so on, right, mostly we are using Python. And then this is so-called the back end, doing all those modeling, pre-processing, and so on. How about the front end? The front end, normally we need to use another HTML, CSS, and so on to create, right? React.js and so on. But now is that what if I just want to use a Python? Maybe I just a Python developer. I'm not the front end developer, or I don't really know about CSS and so on. Let's say example like this. I don't want to create a two-part. Can I just create a quick one using Python within few seconds or a few minutes like this? And yet it can give a fundamental, something like this for us to choose. So answer is yes. Welcome to Streamlit. Okay. So in this case, right, it turns all those data script, particularly in this case, all in Python, into a shareable web app in minutes only. Indeed, once you are getting more familiar, you can just deliver it within 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can create a quick Streamlit already. So next time, I believe as some students here, right? When you want to build your FYP or something like this, right, build everything together. Create a Streamlit, put everything together and show to as your showcase. Okay. So no front-end experience are required. But of course, if you know front-end experience, you have a front-end experience, right? Excuse me. It will be better. Okay. So compatible to many other libraries. They use the term compatible. Indeed, I direct copy from their Streamlit documentation, these terms. So-called the compatible, which means that inside the Streamlit, right, you can just use Bokeh, you can just use the Matplotlib, and I think some of you already know the PyTorch, TensorFlow, Keras, or at least Scikit-learn. All those are machine learning libraries. OpenCV for image processing, NLTK for NLP. So all these, right, you may just use it. Okay, without any issue. So that's a good thing. And therefore, in terms of theory, I would like to compare with the Dash. So Dash is another very well-known library for us to run those web application or something like a UI design as well. So therefore, as I actually cited the source here. Feel free to go through and read the full paragraph. It's a very comprehensive article to compare Streamlit versus Dash. And therefore, again, I think just now I just mentioned that it's like Proton versus Prodoro, Honda versus Toyota. Each one has its a good thing and perhaps some bad thing as well. But no matter how, it's just a comparison. So here we can see that to me, right, personally, the good thing is the first one. Minimal overhead effort. It's very user-friendly, very simple. All we need to do, we just create it within seconds or minutes. Then we can create a simple web app. If let's say you just need to have a simple web app for the user to just drag and drop, and yet can perform all those advanced modeling and so on, whereby the user don't really need to know all those mathematical formulas as well as all those coding, right? Python code or whatever it is, then Streamlit is perhaps a good choice. And therefore, this 1 hour talk, right? I will just propose, or I will just want to use this Streamlit as an example. Okay. And then, right, of course, that there is also another source here, right, is to compare Streamlit, Dash, and also Shiny. Again, the Shiny is actually is in R, but recently, right, there's a Python version as well. We call it Shiny for Python. For those R developers who frequently use Shiny, indeed, if you go to my personal website, I developed quite a number of our web applications as well. And of course, I use a Shiny library to build it. So there are some difference here. Okay, so one thing here is the backend architecture, the number 3. Okay, for that, right, is a stateless. For those who know what it is, right, then you will know that this one, in other words, the outcome is that Dash perform faster compared to Shiny and Streamlit. Because Shiny and Streamlit, right, they are so-called was that they have a stateful backend architecture. Of course, here I'm not going to discuss why it's a stateful, why it's a stateless, but in short, it means one is faster, one is slow. Okay. Other than that, you can just go through. There are quite a number of all these things, whereby indeed, right, Streamlit and Dash both are using React as their front-end component. Although we just use Python, but actually, right, internally, it uses the React. For those who know React.js, and then to build all these web applications accordingly. And that is how it does. Okay. So next, right, we may just go through. So in this case, right, the Streamlit Cloud here. So first, of course, that the Streamlit Cloud, the reason I introduced this Streamlit Cloud, right, is that it is a cloud. Of course, I think you all know it already, and therefore we don't really need to like develop or do the configuration, all these things to our local computer and so on, or local server. Let us just make use of the Streamlit Cloud and deploy the entire Streamlit so that it's hassle-free. We may just do it, but in order to have that, right, just now I asked you to create the cloud account, right? So sign in with this GitHub and SSO, whatever it is, you have signed in. Later, right, the GitHub, all you need to do is just to create some Python code that involve or they make use of the Streamlit library and so on. And then you can just use your Streamlit Cloud to point to this GitHub account or GitHub repository, we call it. And after that, yeah, once you reply it, right, it is updated and one URL will be generated, and that's all. You can just share this URL to everyone without any issue. Okay. So that's the thing. And therefore, when we talk about the Streamlit Cloud here, right, of course, you can, because the good thing about this is that you can just reply in one click, keep your code in your repo, particularly the GitHub, for example. And therefore, right, whenever you update your GitHub, either through your GitHub desktop or even the github.com there, and then it will run automatically. Okay. And therefore, it's a live update. Okay. There are also some other features here you can go through. Most important to me, right, is actually user friendliness. And of course, you know that your GitHub, you can change it as a private or public. So therefore, it's very good. Even there was last time when I presented something like this, there was a question asking about what if, let's say in terms of security, because they say the GitHub, all this thing, right, is that means that I put it as public and then everyone can see my code and so on. But I don't want that. Indeed, you can use the private, okay, private repository. That's the first thing. And the second thing is also that all your whatever model or whatever the library or the function that you create, right, you can save as a picker. I mean, you can just add a hash or whatsoever and set it as a picker so that people cannot, people won't be able to understand what your code is and so on. They cannot copy it all. Okay, this is just some additional steps that how to safeguard or how to secure your entire library and code accordingly. Okay, so therefore the next question here is that, okay, since just now you say that use cloud, all these things, what if due to some circumstances, I just need to use my own local Anaconda Plum or Jupyter Notebook, or maybe just Google Colab, but I'm not going to deploy to the cloud. Maybe due to company policy or due to my personal, I want to build it first before I'm more so-called comfortable to deploy to as a cloud or whatever to the cloud. So indeed, yes, we may just install locally, but here I'm not going to show you the full steps, but I think you know pip install. All you need to do is just open the Anaconda Plum and then put the pip install Streamlit. Install the Streamlit, run it accordingly. Of course, there are full details here. You can just go through there. So what you need to do is just install the respective library into your computer. Let's say through the Anaconda Plum or Jupyter Notebook, or even Colab. Now after that, right, just run the code accordingly, and at last, just put the Streamlit run certain project. Okay, so it's all described here. You can try it after this 1 hour talk to have a better understanding. Okay, so now this is the one that I'm going to share with you today here. Yeah, the timing is good. Okay, for the next 40 hours, right? 40 minutes, right? We are going to do practical together. What you need to do, right? Follow me here. First of all, try to take a look on this example. This is completely developed in Streamlit. Okay, let me share the link here. I just post here. Okay, there are some questions here. Okay, Rachel, we can password protect our apps. Yeah, we can create additional that just those who have the username and password can access accordingly. Okay. And Songjin Heroku is not going to be free anymore. Yes, that's something that maybe to some of the students here you may be facing some issue because Heroku is not free. But due to that reason, right, today I will just introduce the Streamlit Cloud. You just publish the Streamlit Cloud, which is completely free for learning purpose, for demo purpose. This is still a very good choice. So I think I sent the link already to you. You can see that from my screen also you can see it. So you can see it here, the left-hand side, there are a couple of all these whatever feature drop-down menu, all this thing, right? Okay, you can see here, if I change it to Mac, and this one will react accordingly. Bear in mind that no matter how this is not a very proper or full web app, so-called the website development. If you are talking about something like you want to create a super app with a very good UI and so on, right? You still need to go through those native language and so on. But this is more like to create a simple UI for us to perform some machine learning or data science modeling and so on. That is the main purpose. And right now, right, we are going to do practical work here together. All we need to do is just to build this web app for the first time. And subsequently, the second web app, right, is more relevant to machine learning or data science. Okay, in order to do so, again, refer to this one. Okay, we will just deploy and host it on Streamlit Cloud. Yes, that's the part. And all you need to do here, right, is that you just need to log in your GitHub. Again, I believe you have it already, and create a new repository accordingly. So in that sense, right, now please go to your GitHub, go to your personal account, log in accordingly, and refer to my screen, or else refer to the slide. All you need to do is just create a new repository. Hopefully you can see my mouse here. Okay, and then just create a new repository accordingly, and then it comes out like this, right? And you may just follow the subsequent steps accordingly. So in this case, right, let's say we call it my first application, or you can put your own name, my first web app, my first Streamlit app, and so on. Excuse me. And just click the public and add a readme here. Follow the slides here. So what you need to do, let's say example, if I say I create my first application. In case you don't know what this is, right? Indeed, this is we are creating a new repository. You can imagine something identical to a new project, so that we are going to ask the GitHub to store all those Python code and so on. And particularly for this case, right, is that to create a Streamlit app. Later, the Streamlit cloud will just react based on this GitHub repository, and then build the UI with all those machine learning at the back and so on, and run it accordingly. That's the thing. So therefore, you just put the repository name, choose public. Then normally I myself, I will suggest to put the add readme and also choose the license. Choose the license here, right, is an open source license. So the open source license, right, when you create it, there are a couple like Apache, GNU, and so on. Although all are open source, but they come with some very specific license clause you can go through. Okay, personally, I prefer GNU license version 3. Yeah, then we just put it. Okay, that's the part. And once you are ready, you may just create your repository accordingly. And congratulations, you have created your first repository. To some of you, maybe some of you already created some repository, then congratulations, you have created the first Streamlit. Okay, similarly to please, once you are able to create this repository, right, please just drop a message here, say yes or something like this. Okay, I will just wait for maybe 1 minute or something like this. Okay. Okay, once okay. So you can see that therefore you create your first whatever you call it application, first Python web app, you can see it here. And suppose you can also see the license and readme are also in your repository. What you need to do, right, follow my slides here, you need to create another two files. My first app.py, and also the second file is the requirement.txt. Okay, so therefore, in order to have a better picture, just go to this link, my first Python web app. This one I already created, and therefore it's serve as a template for you to follow within this next 5 minutes like this. All you need to do is just go to the link I send you through the chat also. So there are two important files. First is the my first app.py. This file, right, is of course is the Python file to run the entire Streamlit and also whatever the UI design. And the second one, the requirement, is actually the list. It contains the list of Python dependency or Python package that we need to install. Because once we deploy to any cloud, including Streamlit cloud and also the rest of cloud like GCP, Heroku, and so on, right, it's completely empty. The cloud knows nothing. We have to instruct one by one. One of the way is that requirement by putting this requirements.txt. The requirements.txt here, right? Again, then we instruct the cloud to install all this Python dependency or Python library accordingly. Example is here. So you can put the respective, this one, let's say example, the Streamlit here means the library name, and then NumPy, Pandas, and so on, together with the version. Okay, so all you need to do, right, is that follow the slide again, create these two files accordingly. Okay. So how to create? Let me show an example here. Go back to your repository, and then here, right, you can add a file, create a new file. Create a new file. And in the case, right, the first one, you just need to type requirements.txt. Make sure that you type accordingly. It's a requirements. A common mistake, right, is that some people put requirement without S. And then one, it give an error. Because that this is fixed already. The computer only understand and install Python libraries based on this requirement with the S. Okay, it's a plural. And from there, right, you just list down all the libraries. And because we are installing into the Streamlit, so actually Streamlit, by default, it has a Streamlit library already. Therefore, Streamlit library is actually optional. And with that, right, indeed, if now you are creating this requirement, I will say that all you need to do is just to put the NumPy and pandas, which are, again, I just sent through the chat room there. Excuse me. You might just go through. Okay. And you can see the minor difference there whereby I don't ask you to install Streamlit. Again, that is a difference because indeed it's optional. You can still put it to have the full. So if you put the full, right, it's fine. But remember that if let's say you are running, let's say you are want to like host it on GCP, on the Azure, on the also let's say Heroku, right? You must put the Streamlit library together so that you understand which version you are talking about. And the second file, right? Is the my first .py. You have to create as well. And you have, for the first time, you just follow my one and copy and paste the whole code here. Okay. While you're creating yours, right? Again, let me copy and paste the link here, which means that right now, right, you have to open your own GitHub. On the other hand, you try to go to my GitHub and here, copy the code accordingly. So create your own. So they say this is your own GitHub, right? So right now, all you need to do is just again, add the file, create a new file. And in this case, you just need to type my first app.py. The name is optional, which means that you can change some other name. This one, no issue, compared to just now the requirements.txt. Okay, you can put it. Whereas from my GitHub writer, the code 64 line here, all you need to do for the first time, you just copy and paste. And save it accordingly. For the what's it in the GitHub environment, we call it commit a new file. In the local, what they call it, the normal English, we can say that is identical to save the file. Okay. Is the main file the path for the Streamlit application same as the Python? Yes, correct. So this Python file will be so-called the main file path. Indeed, the main path. Okay, again, if you manage to create these two files, you might to just type yes. Thank you very sorry. Thank you very much. Next, right, we just need to sign the Streamlit Cloud account, add the new app, just follow this screenshot accordingly, and then you can link to your GitHub already. Example, right? Create a new app. You can see, right, quite a number. So they say just now my one was my first Python web app, right? Just put it. Okay, so in this case, right, the main file path right here, right, you have to, as just how I said that you have to change it to your own Python, like my first app.py. So make sure that the repository is captured correctly, the one that you created just now. By default, we just use the main branch, so it's fine. And the main file path, you just put it and click deploy. Wait for about 1 minute. A new URL is going to be created, will be created accordingly. And once you are ready with this one, right, would you mind to share the link, your own link, and congratulations, you have created your very first Streamlit app. Let's say example, my one, right? This is my one. So you can see something like this. Your app is in oven, is baking in the oven, and after 1 minute, right, there's a one link created. If let's say when you register here, you put your own name. Let's say I put my own name, 𝐿𝐿 Yong Poh, and so on, right? You will just provide your own first name, the whole full name, and then after that, write the name of the app. Whereby the name of the app in this case is my first app, so you just put it accordingly. Yeah. Okay, 𝐍𝐚𝐭, congratulations, you have created yours. So fast. Don't worry, I will give you time. Again, today is more practical here, even though it's a talk. So there's a try it. So let me open 𝐍𝐚𝐭's one. Yeah, TZH553. Okay, 𝐿𝐿 or 𝐿𝐿, your name is 𝐿𝐿. Okay, so you can see, yeah, you have created. But of course, this first app, right, is nothing related to machine learning. It's just a so-called to warm up how to create a Streamlit using some simple code. Once you are ready, I will roughly discuss what it is. Jason also, then Reg also, then 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐸 also. Okay, I will resume in another 1 minute in case some of you are still trying. The rest who have finished, right, try to observe, try to understand the code. I think it's not too tough. As long as you have some prior experience in coding Python, right, that is fine. Okay, that's the resume. So xiaotong also, thank you. Let's just have a quick look on this code. You can see, of course, I will import the Streamlit as st, and after that, we just need to put the st.header. All these are just we call it the input widget. Okay, and also some function and so on. Oh, indeed, it's an OOP function under this st library. So therefore, let's say if I create a checkbox here, that means it's something like a tick box. And then the entire pointer, we call it as a readme. So if readme here means that when someone tick it, let's say I use this as an example. When someone tick it, right, it comes out to this one. This is the web app using Streamlit. It is hosted on Heroku, but because the last time I was using Heroku, now it's a change whereby I would like you to change. You may get the code via GitHub, and for more information, please contact. So right now, example, I'm using I think it's 𝐍𝐚, right? 𝐍𝐚's web app here, and yet because all the name here's my one, right? So your next activity is to change it. Every one of you, please change it to your own. How to change it? All you need to do is now try to update the code, and you can see that Streamlit will update almost in live. So in a few seconds, right, it will update accordingly and try to reply accordingly. So you just need to go to this 914, right, of your own code, of your own repository, change it accordingly. And also this 919. You're not going to use my own LinkedIn, right? You're going to use yours design. So if you don't have yours, right, you may just put your email. That's fine as well. Okay, so what you need to do is just that I think this one. So the 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐞, right? You may just change it. In case you're not sure that what is this, right? This is the hyperlink. The square bracket here, right, means that this is the English terms to be linked that contains the hyperlink, and the actual hyperlink, the actual link, we put it in the bracket, the normal parenthesis bracket. So in this case, right, no longer the 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐞, but you can just change it to it is hosted on Streamlit Cloud, then provide the Streamlit Cloud web URL, and then you can get the code via GitHub. Again, don't put my GitHub, put yours. You have created yours, right? And this is yours. So right now, the activity here is to change this accordingly. So just in case, again, how to change it. When you open your own Python file here, right? There's something like a pencil icon here, right? We call it edit this file. You just need to create edit accordingly. Okay. So once you edit, right, it's something like you can edit the code here and there. But remember, no matter how this is the GitHub, Git is actually a version controlling, right? Later, there's a way you can check that your previous code, your current code, and so on. You actually keep track. I mean, that's the purpose. GitHub is not just to store the code. You need the GitHub is also meant for us to like do, we call it overall, we call it version control. So we can see the previous version, current version, and so on. Indeed, that is the main purpose of GitHub. So please do it accordingly. And the same thing here, if you have done it, please put a yes. Yeah. Tian Hang, committing change a live update to the Streamlit app. Yes, correct. It's a live update. So therefore, if let's say when you're developing the FYP or something like this, right? Sometimes people, you know, like last time the student at the FYP, okay, 1 month, 1 week before the final presentation, everything went well. But during the presentation, especially computer jam here and there, right, then cannot present, right? So if you host everything and push it to the cloud, mostly the chance to get so-called whatever jam here and there, right, will be just a 0%. So therefore, and just in case you really found some bug or whatever you want to change it, right? And while your friend is still presenting, you can quickly update your code. It will update real time. And therefore, the one that you present to your professor, okay, that is the point. Okay, so those who managed to create all these things, edit it, would you mind to put a yes here? Again, the activity here, right, is just to change something to contain your GitHub and also your contact. And at last, right, just need to save it accordingly. It will ask you to whether to commit it or not. Yeah, you just put it. Okay, Rachel, direct. Jason, it sounds great, thank you. Lawrence, Zihang also, okay, Yutawan. Anyone else? Okay, so the next right is machine learning. Of course, this is the part use cases. So here, right, I think the entire steps are still similar. I would like you to try to do the hands-on in the next 15 minutes or even after that. Okay, Carl, you share your first answer. Thank you very much. So here I provide a few examples here. First is a very classical, what they call it, the machine learning project. We call it iris classification. In case if this is the first time you heard about this one, right? Just need to go to this iris data set. Let's take a look. It's the structured data. To issue, I send the link here as well. Okay. So this one, the iris data is a typical one that whereby the so-called dependence of feature, independent variable of features, right? All those are 4 measurements: sepal length, sepal width, pita length, and pita width. Based on these 4 measurements, right, the system is able to predict the setosa, versicolor, virginica, 3 types of iris. So which one? You can imagine it just as same as a given an image. Let's say you want to predict whether, or you want to classify whether it's a cat or dog or elephant. But the main difference here is that for this one, it's just a very simple structured data, which means in the form of data frame. Okay. And how do we do it? So here, right, you may just go to my GitHub and follow the whatever the previous step you did, which means that you create a new repository, you create a requirement for, you create a Python for accordingly, and refer to here and try to see the code accordingly. So here you can see that I just put two, the requirement and also the iris classification. So this is just a very quick one, the simple one using the random forest classifier, whereby I think something you have learned already. So now we just embed everything into together with the Streamlit, make it as a web application. So please feel free to try this as well, the iris classification, in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And once you finish it, right, you might just directly share your link here. Okay, so this is another practical for you. Okay, Kian Hang, try to create a new repository because that is easier. Indeed, if you want to combine all together, it's also fine. The reason I asked to create a new repository is to get more experience in creating all this. And therefore, the requirement, you can set your own requirement as well. It's more so-called structured in the case. Because at a different project or different web app, right, it requires different libraries, right? Therefore, different requirement TST. Okay, 𝐶𝐚𝐿 very fast. You have created it. Let me open it as well. Oh, this is my first app just now. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Sure, no problem. Okay, just go through. And again, I know that they are fast learner, they are so-called more regular learner, right? Those are fast learner, right? You can continue to try. If you finish this one, right, there is another one which is tougher one. The reason I put these two, right, first is the structured data, iris classification. Another one is object recognition, involving those deep learning as well as unstructured data, particularly the video and image. So in that case, right, you can try this as well for those who move faster, right? For the regular learner, don't worry, you just go through, and this part, right, treat it something like a weekend project. So after you attend my talk here, and later 11 o'clock, Dr. Sean will share with you the NLP, right? Then after that, right, today you can try it. Oops. Okay, if the report is set to private, yes. The private here means that the one that you set it, those whoever the developer that you allow, then can access. The rest no. But that is referred to that particular GitHub only. But when you set the Streamlit, right, since you host it on the Streamlit cloud, then it's still, because the Streamlit cloud by default is also public. So therefore, for some what they call it, the actual use, right? Let's say corporate or that comes with a lot of PNC, right? They will just have their own cloud. Let's say, example, GCP belong to the company, and then after that, right, just deploy it through the GCP. I mean, on the GCP or on the, let's say, AWS. I think AWS is also quite popular. And then after that, right, it's only for internal use. While you are trying to reply all this, right, if you face any difficulty, please feel free to let me know. We still have about 10 minutes. So at this, right, my target here, right, is that you are able to deploy this iris data set, so-called the iris classification. And the third one, the unstructured data, that one is for your weekend project, as your weekend project. Okay, are we able to change the domain name while deploy the web app? You can just change it, yeah, the Streamlit cloud and change it. Or else, right, you can also like use the iframe, like example, right, all these things actually I developed using Google site. And indeed, although everything, let's say AI chatbot, right, it's everything the Streamlit, but you won't see the domain. You will just see my own domain. You can actually Streamlit cloud allows it as well. There are two ways. The first is directly linked to your own domain that you collected. Let's say you use a Google domain or else the GoDaddy and so on. The second one is just how I did here. The way I did it here is very simple. It's just that I create a Google site, embed using iframe. Some HTML knowledge is required using the iframe tag, and then after that to embed everything. Then can still see it accordingly. And this is by the way, the chat with me is just another NLP Streamlit apps also. Okay, Chong Ka Wu. Okay, you have created yours. Congratulations. Let me open it. Okay, it's very nice. So let me use a Kawu's project here or the work. When I adjust the length and so on, right, it will predict accordingly. Okay, by the way, when you see all this probability, all this, you may make a guess already. It's mostly logistic regression, a very simple model, but yet it's very powerful. Although I say simple, but it's powerful. So in the case, right, it will just predict, okay, this is a versicolor because that the probability to have the number one is referred to versicolor is 100%. So when you adjust some other, right, it will change it like 96 versus 4%. In the end, still versicolor. So just play around. Like just our example here. Now it's 𝐒𝐿𝐴. If with this measurement, if based on the logistic regression, it's probably the 𝐒𝐿𝐴 with a 74%. Okay. Okay, okay, if I want to use the iris data set, I need to install the data folder. Okay, let's go through the code a little bit. You can see that I don't really put any data here, right? That is because, right, we, what they call it, 𝐶𝐚 is a data set, is a default data set whereby one of the default data set is iris data set. Therefore, we just make use of this 𝐶𝐚 data set. But then, right, let's say if you have any of your own data, example is that you have your data.csv. Then what you need to do, right, is very simple. Just also the GitHub here, you just upload the particular CSV file. Then inside the Python file, right, you just do the pd read CSV, read it as a data frame, then continue the processing. That's the first way. The second way is that you make it more generic. You allow the user to upload the CSV, then only process accordingly. One of the example I think is here. Let me send the link and you can browse it accordingly. 𝐶𝐭𝐿ENT has a lot of sample data set. I won't say a lot, but it has a few of those are very common ones. And to go back to Tian Hang's question just now, let's say example, this one is a more generic one. When I open it, right, you can see that I allow users to upload the CSV form. I only set as a CSV, indeed it support multiple, image and so on. But for this is more meant for structured data, so I put it CSV. So user can just browse and upload the CSV and then do the training accordingly here. It's more like a light version of the training software, or so-called machine learning software. We can do it accordingly. Okay, anyone else has completed the part or stuck at some way? Please feel free to let me know. It's loading for quite some time, Derek. Okay, any issue there? Of course, in case that you cannot finish all this thing, right? Don't worry. This is not just a 1 hour or whatever. It's actually, you can treat it a weekend project and anything like you can still talk to me. Email me or through the linking, right? Just message me anything. If you face any difficulty. Or if let's say you want to share any, like, as long as it's not PNC, you want to share anything that you not sure what to do or whatever for your, if it's a company project or it's a student project, whatever. Feel free to discuss with me. With the precondition, not PNC. Okay, I think due to the time constraint, I will just stop here, and in case any Q&A, I will just answer accordingly. Whereas those hands-on project, right, please continue when you are free tonight. Okay. So I will pass back to the, what they call it, the MC, and then if any Q&A, I will just answer accordingly. Therefore, thank you, everyone. I will stop sharing. Chong Ka Wu. Actually, your name's, shall I call you Chong Ka or Ka Wu? Ka Wu, okay. So those my tutorial batch, those that under the Python, right? Yes, it's 100%. Everything is also based on the Streamlit, developed using Streamlit. Whereas for the R, right, I used Shiny, the one I mentioned earlier. Is there any, okay, from this one, the Slido, I saw the question here. Is there any easier or faster way to create a README file? Indeed, right, the GitHub there, you can already put the README there, right? Then you can just write it. Whereas inside the Streamlit, right, it's actually optional. Always I like to put the README, right? It's just to like, again, this is not the company work. It's just a personal sharing. Like I want to share those, whatever the link and so on. So I put the README. Okay, Jason, last time I did a still defect prediction for my mechatronic, but the data set has a huge bias over. Okay, when you set the bias, maybe I pronounce it as an imbalanced data set. So you might want to try to upsample or downsample both together. You have to try it and also do some EDA onto the imbalanced data set to see whether it is feasible or it is technical correct if they say you downsample it. Downsample the major one. Let's say example, the defect only 1%, the normal one 99%. If you downsample the normal one until it's like equivalent to 1% versus 1% like this, is your data set still big enough? Since you normally for this kind of data set is quite big, right? If not, right, then you have to upsample accordingly. Upsample the minority. For the Keras, we can upload the self weight on GitHub and add as a pre-trained model Answer is yes. And indeed, right, you can save it as a picker, or you can just use it. Okay, the third example, just now is the one, right? Indeed, right, is already used the YOLO V5, and it's already so-called, again, it's already trained. It's not like to do the training again. In the end, it's just to do the classification, or sometimes we also directly call it the inference, just to do the inference and then to predict the item accordingly. And answer is yes. So please feel free to try the third one, because that one is just make use of the GPU. Make use of the normal CPU, no GPU. The normal CPU from the Streamlit cloud. Okay, Jason, but now sampling, I worry may lose important info. Yes, it may be. So therefore, again, need to check it no matter how. And also, even we upsample, right, there is an issue also, because the upsample here, right, is also like, it's based on whatever current data we have. If let's say our current data, let's say just on the 1% the defect, right, it consists of a lot of bias. Then when we really upsample using, let's say, SMOTE and so on, whatever, for the image processing, it has its own method as well. But anyhow, right, it will still follow all this pattern, more bias in the end. So therefore, a good thing is that we still need to plot it, do some EDA to find out what is the best. Yeah, any other questions here? Okay, if no more, thank you for joining this 1 hour talk. It's very fast. Oh, Jason, Streamlit is just the making the prediction. Not really, it can do a lot of things. You go to the Streamlit, it provide all those, a lot of something like a template, and also somehow the corporate that work with them, so-called their customer. And then there are a lot of a different kind. You can create something like a map. You can create all those dashboard. You can also create a lot of things. Okay, just because our the event here is a machine learning study jam, right? So I focus on machine learning. But indeed, you can treat like a general web app generator. Okay, so thank you, Jason. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Lau. Okay, with that, thank you, everyone. So that get in touch. I will close it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yu. We will now be having a short break. Feel free to get some refreshments and the session will resume shortly. Our short break is over. Now we are heading to our second talk of the day, presented by Dr. Tan. He will be giving us a talk titled, "You and I might not be that important in natural language processing."
Yeah, all right, thank you. Just want to check whether you can hear me well. If yes, give me a 1 in the chat room. If you did not hear me well, 2 in the chat room. Wow, all right, thank you so much, everybody. I can see the number 1 is rolling pretty fast. Thank you so much. All right, let me share my screen now. Same thing happened, yeah. I will put a divider in the chat room there, because the second question I would like to ask is about whether you can see my screen or not. 1 or 2? Very good. Thank you so much. You already used to these are 1 and 2 already. Thank you so much. All right. This is a very wonderful Saturday morning, and just now we had heard about the Streamlit, and now I was thinking like maybe After my sharing today, we can, or you can deploy the thing that you learn in this NLP into the Streamlit as well. That would be brilliant, you know, that would be brilliant. All right, I'm going to share to you one link. So inside this link, you're going to find yourself the PowerPoint of these presentations, the PDF versions, as well as a data set called SPAM, S-P-A-M, whereby another will be IPYNB file. Take your time to download. We are not going to use those files as of now, but you may download it first, and later we're going to use it later on. Yeah, all right. All right, let me start my presentation, or more towards sharing today's. The first thing is get the feeling. A small text there. Yes, you heard it correct. Just get the feeling. So this is the I would say throughout a few my little experience on NLP. I found that sometimes it is very important for us to get the feeling when we trying to process our text. Yeah. So keep this thing in mind first. All right. Welcome everyone on board. This is my small sharing about natural language processing, and I hope that this is also serve as a gateway for you to enter this NLP world. My title for this sharing is called "You and I Might Not Important in NLP." So the word "you and I put a double quotes there, because I'm not referring to you, you in front of the laptop and me myself in front of the laptop. I'm referring to this character. I believe that a majority of us here is a programmer. So it is actually a string, you know, it is a character, Y-O-U, and also a I itself. And later we're going to play around with the Jupyter notebook. If you do not have one, I will recommend the Jupyter notebook in the Anaconda distributions. Take your turn to download while you are listening to these sharings. So this is Dan. You can call me Sean, S-E-A-N. But I found that sometimes our friends, they misspell my name, so they call me as S-E-A-N. Suppose we're going to pronounce as Sean lah, but they pronounce as 𝐶ian. Yeah, so all together with my surname Tan, they call me as 𝐶ian Tan. For those of you, if you understand about Chinese, 𝐶ian Tan, that means a salty egg. Susan, to respond to you, can we use Google Colabs? Yes, it's possible, but make sure that you install the NLTK first. And later we will go through that part. So as the next, I do have a question for you. What is the first thing that comes into your mind when you think about, when you hear about natural language processing? So take out your mobile phone, scan the QR code in front, or using your mobile phone, using your laptop, going to slidedo.com, enter the ID there, 3687426. We will spend some time on this because I'm trying to assess you, I'm trying to understand you. Do you help me to answer this question? Thank you so much. I can see 2 of you is already typing. Oh, very interesting. Okay, from my side, I can see all together, including me, myself, we will have 82 participants. Yeah, okay. I do receive more and more response from you. I can see some of you give me a sentimental analysis. Wow, brilliant. Oh, some of you mentioned about Siri. This is a use case of natural language processing. I have also people saying our human languages. Very true. Actually, the natural language processing is not always referring to our Chinese, Malay, English, and also our human spoken languages. Yeah, the natural language is also can referring to any languages, because in this NLP world, we believe that every single languages, yes, languages are programming languages also under our NLP umbrella. Okay, computer trying to understand human languages. This is correct. Later, we're going to share with you about under NLP processing, we do have 2 branches. One is understanding. So that means your understanding is correct. Computer trying to understand the human languages. That is under understanding that part. Another one will be on the generations. That means we are trying to generate something, whether it is a written or it is a spoken. Very good. I see some of you give me a chat bot. Haha, good one. Understand the sentence. Very good. Google Translate. We use. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. My apology. Okay, I have Google Translate. This is another use case of the natural language processing. Sentence structured, very good, because whenever we're talking about languages, we're talking about a grammar. Try to think about when we are in the primary school or the secondary school. When we making a sentences which is incorrect based on the grammar, our English teacher, our language teacher, they're going to use a red pen to underline that parts. Hey, you're going to think about, wow, when I'm doing my Python, when I'm doing my C++, when I do the thing wrong, the IDE, the system is going to underline it for us. So that means there are certain things, there are certain grammar, or in a programming way, we call it as a syntax. Wow. I have our friends saying it is a combination between computer science, AI, missing, and also the computational linguistic. This is correct. Okay, text analysis. Okay. Some of you said, auto-complete, auto-correction, Alexa, Zovi, Siri, music. Okay. Thank you so much. Committee, I noticed that there are some participants, they are still in the waiting room. Okay. So let me proceed. So the objective of the sharing today, we are going to go through the two branches of natural language processing, understanding, generation, and also applications. So usually I'm going to tell the people around me, hey friends, you know, every single thing in the world is going to start with understanding. The moment you want to go after a girl, the moment you targeting your future wife, the moment you want to choose a place for your further study, the moment you want to buy a thing from a Jaya grocer, for example, we start from understanding. Correct or not? Maybe I'm going to ask you here. You can type in the chat room there. Is it true that everything in the world is start from understanding? Give me some example. Direct driving. Yes, correct. Before you drive, you need to understand the vehicle. The moment you want to commute from Damansara to Sunway Pyramid, you need to understand the route first. Carvo, understand the emotion. Hey, this is very important. Kids learn to walk. Yes, they need to understand about how they're going to move their body and also etc. Jason, understand my partner emotion today. Yes, before you do anything, you need to understand first, or else you will never get the thing done. Learning and speaking a new languages is correct. So same things with the with our machine learning law. When we try to let a machine to understand a thing, then the machine itself need to understand our how we pronounce the words and also etc. That is on the understanding part, whereby for the generations, we're going to come up with something. And we always say that natural language understanding is the very first step towards natural language processing. Only with understanding barulah kita boleh generate. And also we're going to go for some application, and later when we move to the practical parts, I need you to get your hand a little bit dirty to come out machine learning model, so that the machine can help us to determine whether your sentence is a spam or it is a ham. All right. I believe that majority of us see these numbers already. So what does it mean by this figure? Yeah. So according to a recent research, we will be looking at around 44 trillion gigabytes of digital knowledge worldwide. And these 44 trillion gigabytes is a lot of potential. Yeah. So no matter where you apply this, natural language processing for big data will be a very important features to build into our analysis pipeline in order to capture the value of this wonderful big world. So what NLP can do for us? So today, Organizations and most of the enterprise of most every coin, they must tap into what is now an essential yet very challenging resources, which is big data, and composed of the internally stored organization informations, such as, for example, the customer and also the sales informations, transactions data, research, as well as the external open sources, information, social media, and etc. and etc. So this big data is a largely unstructured data, but it is at a constantly grow. So it is almost text. Yeah, and this is why the natural language processing of big data is the next great opportunity. Then we're going to answer the question, what is NLP? So we will start by introducing the word language itself, just like just now we're doing a survey. I'm talking about programming language, also a language. The language that we spoke to each other, that is considered an language. So by studying a language, we can come to understand more about the world. And if we can successfully build a computational mode of language, we will be having a very powerful tools to communicate with the world. Not sure whether you still remember the very first slide that I'm showing to you. Get the feeling. So in order for us to process about the data, and the language is actually unlimited. The beauty of Malaysia people across the other country is we are using so many languages in our daily life. Here is a do your wild guess. Do your wild guess. Except for programming languages, except for programming languages, how many languages is available within Malaysia? I'm coming from, if let's say 𝐵𝐷𝐸 𝐶𝐫𝐴, they are also considered as one languages. Do your wild guess, everybody. How many languages that Malaysia people is using? Try to think about those minority. Mingkit say at least 3. Yes, I would say majority of us manage to master at least 3 languages. But how about towards the whole nation? Do we include our dialect? Yes. Tian Hao. Yes. Try to consider that one as well. Prof. Lau, even there are at least 3 types of Hokkien. Yes, it's correct. So we need to consider all of that as well. Hundreds including dialects, plus dialect over 100 plus Joshua. Hey, yes, that means all of you is actually aware on our languages. So based on a statistic that is conducted by our government, Malaysia people is using around 158 of languages. 158. Definitely it includes all the dialects. But I found a very interesting answer from one of our participants, which is Yen Bin. I believe this is Dr. Yen Bin. Dr. Yen Bin said, no matter how many language that we are using, we are united as one. That means, what is that? Rojak language. Wow, this is a very king punya answer. You try to cover all already. And everybody here, this is somehow correct, you know. Malaysia people, we are able to mix so many languages into one single sentence. Yen Bin is so gang, G-E-N-G, gang. So gang is not a English, it's not a proper English. but it is a mixture coming from Hokkien or Teochew, or we come in all together. Wow, that means all of you, we are so good. BM also have different types. Kelantanese, Northern, it is correct. When I travel to Terengganu, when they're trying to pronounce ayam, A-Y-A-M, so they are not going to pronounce the last consonant. They are going to replace the last consonant with a G. This is Terengganu. Also, ayam become ayak, ayak, nasi ayak, ends with ng. Wow. Roja languages is the API, is the API. We are creating our own languages in Malaysia. This is correct. And there are more and more terms when we look at the highway, next to the highway, the big advertisement board there. I noticed that when I travel from Bukit Jalil side towards KL area, there is an advertisement board selling this one, the tudung. So on the advertisement board there, they're putting this one, M-O-M-E-N, moment. Ingat lagi tak moment yang cantik itu? I thought M-O-M-E-N is not a proper Malay word. Wow. They still include that. When you travel, when you travel from Jalan Ipoh towards my campus, TAUC, you're going to pass through a short lot. So over that short lot, I call that short lot, that row of shops as a diabetes street. So when I said diabetes streets, I'm referring to there are so many shops there, they're selling bubble milk tea. So that is on the PV128 if for those if you do not know what I'm talking about. So PV128, after you're passing that area, you're going to see on your left hand side they're selling the durian cendol durian, sorry. Their poster, they're putting there this one, B-R-A-D-E-R-S. Apa itu B-R-A-D-E-R-S? Make a guess. B-R-A-D-E-R-S. Yes, correct. It is referring to brothers. So not to say Roja language sudah, our Malaysia people creative enough to come up our own words. Yes, correct, Shahir. It is referring to brothers. Okay, then you also know about this. Even Kedah has 3 types of dialects, imaging a larger state. Yes, this is correct. Tian Hang, our habits of adding la me at the end of our sentence already prove that we're using minimum as is more than one languages sudah. Yes, correct. MACD from party here. Sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly. MACD, M-E-K-D-I, unique within Malaysia compound. Takkan dapat di mana-mana lagi. Yeah, Yan Bin also provide us with one more thing. That means YYDS. For our yeah, I do receive so many comments. Wow, you guys is very engaging with this workshop. Thank you so much. For our kaum Melayu, YYDS is actually the short form from our Hanyu Pinyin. That means for every Chinese character, we're going to have an equivalent ejaan. So YYDS, I'm putting here on the screen, YYDS. So YYDS is actually coming from in Chinese 4 character because we're taking the first character from each of the ejaan. So YY is referring to forever. D is referring to punya. S is referring to God, Tuhan. So altogether means forever punya Tuhan. YYDS, 永远的神, that means you are the champion forever and ever. And all these things, you cannot get it from the dictionary, right? Very jialat. Even now, I'm using a very interesting things, jialat, or sometimes we go to the mama, hey, nak tapau, huh? I really amused when I saw somebody selling brain in Tesco. You won't be surprised if we do a direct translation, otak, you're selling otak in the Tesco. Oh. Okay, I have more. NJHL 啦，你就好了啦，jangan kancung. See, so we try to relate all of the example that we are given. If you do not understand the thing that we talk about just now, that will be the obstacle for you to communicate with your friends already. Correct? So if, let's say today, you travel to Japan, they speak the same languages as you, or you can understand their languages at no time. That would be good. And that is the reason why we say that successfully building a computational mode of languages is equal to the powerful tools for us to communicate with the world. Kylie Lin said, "Walao." It's correct. I thought "walao" is coming from the bahasa Melayu, walau bagaimanapun. Tapi kaum Cina, we are using this word "walao" to express our feeling. It's something like dahsyatnya. Walao, dahsyatnya. Things like that. And just now, I saw that one of our friends giving us, when I'm asking you about NLP, you give me the answer already, or maybe you do your own readings on my slides already. So NLP altogether is about computer science, which is correct. Some of you mentioned just now. AI, yes, because NLP is under the big umbrella of AI. And it is a computational linguistic. Hey, I thought we hear about these computational things 3 times already. So apa kena mengena here? Just now we mentioned about this thing unlimited. So unlimited is something cannot be calculated of. But our scientists, our programmer, our NLP linguistic things, they said it impossible. Everything can be calculated. So here is the dilemma. We know that language is unlimited, but we still want to fix it and make it can be compute. This is the conflicts. Let me show you one example why we say that a language is unlimited. How do I say I love you in your own languages? In English, I can say I love you. Minggit, we can use 520. That means 我爱你 in Chinese. Maybe I can say 52013114 I love you forever and ever. 134. Wow, your language very keng. Maybe in BM I can say aku cinta padamu. Maybe in English I can say that you are the apple of my eyes. Wow. Okay, we're going to have a Korean sarang heyo, and also all these things. See, same sentence, but coming from different people, there can be different already. How are you going to fix it all together? But this is our very wonderful dreams. We hope that everything can be calculated. Yeah, we hope that everything can be calculated. So there are two branches. We are trying to cover text and also spoken. Which one is more difficult? Definitely is a spoken lah. Because the spoken, we need to understand about their slang. I still remember there is a lecturer in my bachelor study. I can't remember this lecturer is coming from where already. But this lecturer teach me about mathematics. Triangle. So this is referring to a three-sided shape triangle. And the lecturer name Mama Ataha, based on the name you know already lah. Definitely this is not our Malaysia people. So this Mama lecturer pronounce this Triangle as tragula. Tragula. Then the whole class having some difficulty about to understand this. See, understand difficult already. How are we going to do the teaching and learning in the class? But I guess that is fine. The main concern here is about when we trying to process a spoken text, we need to understand many other things. Yeah, my Indian lecturer pronounced function L of U. Function L. No discriminations. I just want to share with you. You know, language is so interesting. Okay, moving forward. The first, I would say that I list down some NLP problems. First thing, I'm taking English as an example, yeah, because this is the common language. This is which is being utilized by our Malaysia people. Some English sentences are incomplete descriptions. For example, the chicken is ready to eat. Are you referring to you actually cooking a chicken and you ready to serve to your friends? Or maybe the chicken is a character holding a spoon and fork is trying to eat. So we do not know about this. Second, language is allow people to leave some space. I can convey my sentence to you in a more general way. Something like the first one. Some dogs are on the lawn. Apa yang you cakap tu? Some dog. Can you be more specific? So some dog is referring to 3 dogs, 2 dogs, doki, or what? Be more specific a little bit. 3 dogs. Can you be more specific a little bit? Can. I tell you the species lah. Morty, Hyra, Buzo, they are on the lawn. Snoopy dogs. So this is actually something happened in our daily life. Yeah, I shared to our friends, our students before this, because I'm the anak sulung in my family. So usually when my younger brother they're trying to go out, definitely it's back to 20 years ago. I would be like the busybody to ask, hey, brother, where you want to go? My brother answer me like, I go out lah. Ask. I said it. You go out where? Be more specific. I'm going to Yamcha. Yamcha with who? with my friends lor. All the answer given very general punya. So instead of you saying go out yum cha with friends, who is your friends? Tell me about the name. So this is, I would say, a good side, but also the bad side. Language allows people to as general as possible, or can be as precise as possible. Minky said tired like a dog. Why we say it? Why what actually means by tired like a dog? If later we do have the Q&A sessions, I'm going to answer this question to you. The rest, maybe you can think of this. Why we say that? When we're trying to express our tiredness, why we're trying to relate with the dogs? Okay, next one. In order for us to understand about the meaning of one single word, for example, in this case, is referring to water. So if we are in the chemistry labs, the water is referring to a pure water. Okay. When you are very thirsty, well, it is a hot weather today, so when I ask about where is the water, I'm referring to the water bottle. So see, the pure water and also the water bottle, they are referring to the different things. I would say that the good side, communication about an infinity words using a finite numbers of symbol. Skip this one. And what we say just now, we're talking about the English only, whereby they are far more complicated languages than English. For example, German. So on the screen, you see this. In German, this entire thing serves as one single word. Correct? This is one single word, but definitely this one single word is referring to Naval steamship company captain. Let us hear about the pronunciation of these German words.
Donaudampfschifffahrtsgesellschaftskapitän.
Let me repeat this once again.
Donaudampfschifffahrtsgesellschaftskapitän.
Donaudampfschifffahrtsgesellschaftskapitän. Okay, so this is one single word. Captain of the Donau Steamship Company. Wow. Prof Lau, you very king, You understand German? You can understand German, Wow. Hey, everybody, make some noise. Put your hand together to Prof Lau here. Wow, very king, Very king, Multi-talented, Wow. Very king, Okay. Why we say that this single words is difficult? Because later, when we move to the practical sessions, we're going to break down these long words into small words. For English, very easy, I can use a white space to do the segmentation, or we call it as a tokenization. Jason said 有神快拜. So let me take the title, More Languages Than English. So more is one word, one token. Languages is one word, one token. Then is one, English is one. How can I perform this tokenization so fast? Because I'm using the white space, or more white space, language white space, then white space. So altogether I have 4 there. But for German, Is it possible we can perform the tokenization by using a white space? Definitely cannot, but I think. Yeah, I see many of you are putting the hand together. Very good. Okay, for Chinese pula, in order for you to read a newspaper, you need to at least know about 2,000 to 3,000 character, or maybe as a words, because the unique of the Chinese is one single character is referring to one words. And not to mention about Japan already. Maybe I need to ask everybody here. Anyone here know about Japanese? Katakana, hiragana, don't always sing. Anybody know about Japanese? They see Malaysian people is multi-talented. Kanji. Means Kavo know about Japanese. A little, Naja. I can read katakana and hiragana and a little bit of kanji. Wow. We're going to have another session to let you talk about languages. Very fun. Romanji, kanakana. Okay, and also Thai, Slavic, and also etc. Limited only for hearing. I do have a friend, he said that, Sean, I want to learn Japanese. Why? Because I want to watch the anime without subtitle. Okay, go ahead.
Gesellschaft,
Por favor is a Spanish for please. If you please. In German, it would be, oh, wow, how to pronounce it? B-I-T-T-E. Bitte. Bitte. Okay, let us proceed a little bit more. So everybody, just now we know already, language is unlimited. The next question, would it be possible if, let's say I want to build a chatbot, I write a if and else statement to do a chatbot. If user reply hi, I reply hi. If user reply hello, I reply hello. How may I help you? Yes or no? 1 or 2? Can we write a if and else statement to process our word? To process languages? Yes or no? 1 or 2? Ming Yi say 2. Direct say 2. Cannot. Naja say 1. Okay. Patty say 1. Rogery say yes. Kelly say yes. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Jason said NLP is innocence. Please don't bully it. Okay. So as I mentioned to you just now, for the unlimited things, it's very unlikely that we want to produce an if and else statement. So I would say it is a big no-no because it will lead to a very complex, very large code structure. And we as a human, we still struggling on this thing. So don't do if and else statement in the chatbot. Okay, I will fast forward a little bit because it seems like you will already have some idea about NLP already. Okay, this slide showing that according to Garnet, unstructured data is growing 50% from year to year. And when we're talking about unstructured data, the text file will come first and follow with the rest. So the motivation just now, when I do the slide due survey, you say that, we want to enable the interaction between computer and also human. See, you are very gang already, even though I haven't go through this, but you know about this. So the NLP is going to help us to understand the human process in the other languages processing in human. We also can understand other human cognitive processes. Here is some example. Translating application, Google Translate, you mentioned that. Fake news detections, detect which news is a fake one. Classification of email, predict diseases. Yes, we are not talking about machine learning or other things. We're talking about machine learning with NLP. So Google, if I'm not mistaken, on 2000, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's on 2008, 2008 or 2018. There comes out this website where this website is crawling all of the text that people perform their query search on the Google search engine, and they can predict already, this disease is going to be spread in that country, and the accuracy goes very high. I can go for a sentiment analysis. I can go for the personal voice assistant. You mentioned that the Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and also etc. So there are some use case of NLP. For example, the Google Tinder, Google Translate, and also Tinder as well. If you know, you know lah. Didi. Okay, across of the different market sector, we have the automobiles things. For example, the hi Proton, I want to see the star. Okay, please do this. Then the Proton X 70 or 50, they are going to open the thing. Then you can see that top. Hi Proton, turning up the volume, things like that. In the healthcare, social media, banking and industry, people, and also culture, NLP is almost everywhere. Now, moving, there are two branches. First one is the you understanding, and the second part, we talk about generations. I will go a very brief one, no worry. So the natural language understanding is we're trying to reduce the human speech into a structural ontology, and it is best to view that the NLU is the first step towards NLP. Introducing you a concept in natural language processing. We call this thing as a word net. Yeah. So what does it mean by this? We are trying to assign every single word with a vector. Okay, kita macam pernah dengar vector ini when we are in our form 4 and also form 5. Show you something. Vector of A and B is referring to, let's say, 2j plus 3i. Something like this. Or maybe I can write it as a vector of AB is a real number plus with a imaginary number. When we learn about this thing in form 4 and form 5, I'm talking about the Malaysia educations. Our teacher never told us what does it mean by vector and where should we apply this. But in natural language processing, we're going to have this thing. Taking example of the word called woman. So a woman is going to be placed around 0.27 with around this one. Let's say it's 0.1. So the angle, the magnitude, the distance from woman to a man. This is a man. Is actually the same with when I'm trying to make the woman, madam to sir. These two, they are actually the same. So what actually vector tell us? The vector telling us that we have the magnitude, we have the angle, we have the direction. The location, important or not? Not important. And why I say that woman to man is same with madam to sir, is because of they are, get the feeling, they are the same. Or woman, girl or madam woman or man, lelaki mah, sir, lelaki juga. So get the feeling, these two things, they are the same. I will clean all these things. Try again. Let me take example of aunt. Saya punya auntie dengan saya punya uncle. It is very similar. It's very close to sister and also brother. Why? The location is very close to each other. So when we say very close to each other, more or less, they're having the similar pattern. 98, like having the same gradient. Yes, it's correct. Because a vector is having the magnitude, having the directions. So direction, you can define, understand the direction as a magnitude. Sorry, the angle as a gradient. Okay. Next one is natural language generation. So we try to comes out something. For example, oftenly I'm going to ask my Google Assistant, hey Google, set an alarm for me. Then the Google Assistant is going to ask me, what time is the alarm? I respond, 7:30. Okay, so that means the machine is generating some sentence for us. Is either in a written text or a spoken text. And I will say that NLG is really difficult. It's really difficult. Okay, some example, a machine learning on text classification. Later, when we're going to play with this. Document recommendation. When I go to Shopee, I browse this item. Later at the bottom, the Shopee know already you watching these products. I'm going to give you more. Okay, they are very good in this kind of recommendations. Sometimes I just open a Shopee. I just want to buy one single thing. But the thing that they recommend, just like they know you the best, they're going to push you with the thing that you are going to buy. And sometimes I just think about that, but the thing is already appeared there. So that is what we call as a predictive analysis. They predict you want to do this thing, you want to buy this thing. Sentiment analysis. So for those of you, if you download the slides, there is a link down there, bit.ly. Go to that one and have a try there. NLG, image captioning, text summarization, machine translation, just like you mentioned just now, question and also answering. The next one, I'm taking one example, image captioning. So all these four things is the image captionings by Google. That means when we upload an image, then the system is going to analyze the image and tell us what exactly that the picture is showing to us. We go from the left-hand side first. The first one, the man in black shirt is playing guitar. Wow, amazing. The third one, two young girls are playing with Lego toy. Two young girls are. Maybe we can consider this one as young lah, huh? Okay lah. The last one, always acting, correct. The boy is doing black flip on a wet board. Seems like this is not so correct lah, huh? A wet board is always on the water ma. But it seems like they analyzed back there is a water, there is an ocean, there's a sea there, and that is why it confused the machine. Next one, I will need your help to examine from left to right. I'm going to read the first input sentence. Okay. The first part now, 李克强此行将启动中加总理年度对话机制，与加拿大总理杜鲁多举行两国总理首次年度对话。So if we bring this sentence into different two different AI or NLP translations, can I ask Jason? You turn on Jason Kung. You turn on your microphone and read the translation from PBMT for us, please. Jason, are you there? Jason, or any volunteer? Yeah, Naman, go ahead. You read the translation PBMT for us first. This one. Oh, okay. Sorry. I need to allow, is it?
All right, so it says Li Keqiang Premier added this line to start the annual dialogue mechanism with the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau. Two prime ministers held its first annual session.
So Naman, how do you feel on this translation? If let's say from 1 to 10, how would you rate this translation? Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, I'm not a Chinese ethnic, but I wouldn't. Seeing a translation, I would say that there is some part that doesn't make sense, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of jumbled. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say 5 out of 10.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'm so sorry. I did not aware that I need to unmute for you. My bad. My apology. Never mind. I will read the next one. Li Keqiang will start the annual dialogue mechanism with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada and hold the first annual dialogue between two premiers. So for me, I feel like the GNMT is better than PBMT because just like Naman said just now, PBMT translations is something like piece by piece, and it's hard for us to bring all of these pieces together. Whereby the translation on the right hand side, I will skip this lah. But personally, I will argue that the GNMT algorithm is somehow even beats the human translations. So a summary here, natural language processing is a field of AI that is focused on enabling the computer to understand about human through a written or spoken ways. And we really need to spend some terms on this NLP. All right, I finished the sharing parts, and now I need your help to turn on your Jupyter notebook if you have one. So once again, I'm sharing the file to you in the chat room there. So please use that. You can use the Jupyter notebook, or you can use the Google Colabs. I believe that there is no other library or what that is required by the Google Colabs lah. It should be working well with your Colabs or maybe the Jupyter notebooks. Sorry, committee here. With your permission, do you think it's possible we give everybody, let's say, a 5-minute breaks before we move to the practical parts? Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, everybody. We go for a 5-minute breaks. So you may prepare yourself. You may download the material. You can have your toilet break, or you can have your lovely coffee in these beautiful Saturday mornings. We're going to come back after 5 minutes. So it's basically around 12:17. See you later. Jason, no worry, because I thought just now I want to engage you for something, but I think it's fine because our friends already help us. All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm so sorry. You can see I'm now sweating a lot because this is my third lucky days on the COVID. So I'm not really feeling well today, but I guess it is fine. We still can proceed with our sharing. All right. Is it everybody still with me? Yes or no? 1 or 2? Yes, brilliant. Thank you so much. Lai Fong, Tek Yong, Xiao Tong, T.S. Nurul. Good, a good one. Hian Hao, and no problem. Thank you so much. Okay, I believe you are able to bring the Jupyter notebook file in to your Jupyter notebook, the file given. So basically, when you download the file, you're going to see number 1, number 2, and also my file. So you need to put the IPYNB file and also the spam.txt into your Jupyter notebook environment or directory. So in my case, I will have this Python training folder. Underneath, I have this folder. So I put these 2 files together. Not sure you have any problems to putting this and open this in the Jupyter notebook or not. If you know how to open this one in the Jupyter notebook, can you please let me know? Yes, number 1, no problem. Number 2, still figuring out. 𝐿𝐭𝐫 say yes, you are okay. Susan is okay. Lawrence is okay. 𝐶𝐿𝐿 okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, don't feel shy, okay? Because this is all about learning. This is all about learning. Human do mistake, definitely. Machine only do mistake. Oftenly, I tell the people around me, you did not you did not fail to do the thing. You just successfully know how to fail the thing. So it's actually a successfully works. Okay, when you heard about data science in the past few weeks already, yeah? Data science project should always start with what? When we try to keep, yes, very true, data. So when you have a data in hand, what should you do leh? Not yet important. Yes, Naja, very, very good. Look at it. Very good. Understand that first. Don't straight away, wow, my boss give me the data. I faster. I need to import machine learning, import scikit-learn. Don't do that first. We start from understanding. 98, not yet. We don't find the algorithm first. Jason, yes, in order for you to pre-process it, because pre-processing is case-by-case basics. We need to understand about the data. We need to 摸清楚它的底细, understand the thing inside out. Then only we're going to talk about how should we deal with it. Okay. So in this practical, we're going to look at this data set, and our ultimate goal is to employ a machine learning, and later I can use this entire data so that I know about whether the sentence given by the user as ham, something useful, or it is a spam, something not useful. We can treat this kind of thing is something like a sentiment analysis, where this is a positive, this is a negative, or etc. It's all about a classification problems, yeah. And if your eyes very sharp, you can detect something already. Hey, ham and spam, positive or negative, they are all binary classification issue. After this, so we do our EDA, data exploration first. We understand our data first. So first line, ham. Ham, that means this is something useful. Go until Jurong Point. Crazy. Available only in Bugis and Great Wall lah, the buffet. Gina there got a more one. Yeah, so let you know a little bit background. Jurong Point is a shopping mall in Singapore. Bugis is a township in Singapore. Great Wall is referring to, I think, it is something like a shopping complex there. So in this sentence, we found out that this is not a proper English sentence because I have some short form. I have Gina. This is something like a Malay languages. Yeah. So this one is served as a ham. That means this is something useful. How about if I go to the third one? This is a spam message. Free entry into a weekly competitions to win FA Cup final TKTS 21st May 2005. Text FA to 78128 to receive an entry question. Standard text rate. Term and condition apply. Blah, blah, blah. Over 18s. So this is considered as a spam because if you really reply to them, then congratulations. I believe that something wrong is going to be happen. Maybe your bank account is going to be wrong, or maybe you're going to overcharge for this single SMS kind of things. Okay, let me scroll through going down. Okay, a spam. Urgent. We are trying to contact you. Last weekend's draw shows that you have won a 900 euro prizes guarantee. Call this number, claim this one, valid 12 hours. Wow, you must be feel very kanchong, very nervous, very tensions. I win the prize already. I'm going to redeem the prize almost immediately. Next one, a ham. Hi, friend. Which is best way to avoid miscommunication with our beloved one? So if you receive this is okay. This is a ham. Further down. I hope you that the result of being consistently intelligent and kind. Start asking him, about practicum link and keep your ears open and all the best. Talk to you later. TTYL for short form. Okay, I find one more spam for us. Spam, congrats. 1 year special cinema pass for 2 is yours. Call this number. I thought macam this number kita macam pernah we see this number before. Never mind. C Superman V Matrix 3 Star Wars 3 and etc. all for free. Don't miss out. We know already. Usually they ask you to reply to them, to call to them, to SMS to them. Be quick lah, don't miss out lah. Human, if we read through line, you can detect some pattern. So in order for machine to determine the pattern, machine also need features. So what kind of features that we are trying to anticipate? Let's go to our Jupyter notebook. Okay, so in this practical, we're going to use the supervised learning because the data set seems like already having the ham and also spam, which is in the machine learning, we call it as a label. To recap a little bit, you really think that the machine, the robot is so intelligent, meh? Sorry, just now because we're talking about these local languages, yeah. Maybe it's time for me to respond to the discussion just now. Yes, do we have any mechanism to help us to do the processing on our Rojak languages, on our Leme Lalali? Yes, we do have that, yeah. So come back here. Machine do not know this is an apple, this is an orange, this is a grape. But if we supply the machine with a features, maybe in terms of the colors, in terms of the size, and then give us the label. So you actually you take a rotan already. Hey, hello, Robot, listen to me. If next time you encounter a red one, the size is a big one, there is an apple. Can you remember this? Machine definitely say yes lah. If you next time you encounter an orange color and the size is big and it is an orange, it's something like you teach your student, you teach your kids. The more you teach, the more precise, the more accurate of your kids, of your students. So this is about supervised machine learning. So to recap, when we have a label data set here, okay, when I have a label data set over here, then I bring in, next time, when I have a new document coming in, I also perform the features vectors. I extract the same features vector. Then I can come into this one to compare. Then I can perform a predictive analysis already. Okay. So first thing, we prepare the data, load the data first. In order for us to load the data, to load the file, just now Dr. Yu mentioned about we can use the pandas and actually except for pandas, we do have more, but panda is the most common one lah. So actually all of this code is at your side already. You can look at that. So read the table. What is the file that I wish to read is a span.txt. So all of the encoding inside the file, they are actually Latin character, English character. So we will use the Windows 1252. Let me show you the file once again. The file here, I do not have any header file. I do not have any header file here. So the header file, I put it as a none. Next one, remember we need to take the rotana and ask the machine, hello, machine, this is the features, this is the label. So the features is all the text behind. That is our sentence. Our label, what is our label here? What is our label here? Everybody, what is our label here? You see what I highlight or not? So this is our label. Yes, it is either a ham or a span. So I break down the entire file here with two columns. Make it larger. Two columns, which is label and also text. So the label put it in front because the ham and span put it in front. Then the rest is the text. So I do a little bit checking first. So I use .head. For those, if you're familiar with the Python, you know already. Head is for us to check about the first 5 lines. And since like we are programmer, so programmer Python, we start with a 0 lah. So this is a row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5. Imagine if you have the head of 5. We print a head, that means we print a first 5 line over there. So we believe that when we print the first 5 line, all the things they follow, they follow. That means this you already successfully read the entire things in the Jupyter notebook already. Okay, we check how many row is available. 5,572. Next, if I have such number of row of data, usually for training data set, we need to take how many % of data to pass it into the machine learning to do the training leh. Derek 80, 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐞𝐬𝐬 80. How about the rest? What says you? Susan Lam said 75. Haha. Wow, Jason gave us a very good answer. I would say that no matter how, training must be larger than testing. So 80, 70, 60, as long as the training data set is larger than the testing data set will do. And usually, so I put it here. If we want to specify the testing site is equal to 30%, I put it as 0.3. However, for those of you, if you think that, I want to have my training set 80%, so the testing is 0.2 lor. Okay, so this one is about we want to split the data set. We come after this. So, not sure you still remember the topic of this sharing. You and I might not be important in natural language processing. Why I say so? Because later, when we trying to take the features here, for those of you, if you're not so sure about features, so features is something like for you, for the machine to understand about a context. Maybe I would say my features, as you can see from the screen, my features is about I'm a specky guy. I have my short hair and also etc. So in NLP, the features I can the most entry features on the text is count factorizer. So count factorizer means the word itself appear how many times. Okay, whereby an improved version of features, I can use TF IDF. So TF IDF means if the words appear in you many times, that is the features. But if the word appear in you and as well as all of the people, so that means the word cannot be represent you. The word cannot be represent that sentence anymore. Why? Because you have that features, every other people also having the same features, then these features will not make you a unique one. This kind of things usually happens on our stop words. So a stop words is a concept that I wish to introduce to everybody. Let me perform a quick Google search on English stop words. Okay, I extract the stop words from the internet. Okay. I think this is not a good one. Again, we come to the GitHub. So in this list, it's showing that the English stop words, I, you, me, myself, being, all these things is the English stop words. So the English stop words is referring to those words that appear many times. So when we try to extract the features from the text, we should remove the stop words. So that is the reason why I say that you and I is not important in the natural language processing. Okay. So, okay, I have cleared the doubts of some important concept in the NLP. Carol, yes, noise removal. That means I wish to remove the noise. So here, when we read the file in, I need to do some cleaning work. Noise removal, data pre-processing. So according to NLP, in most of the cases, listen carefully, in most of the cases, but not applied to all of the cases, we believe that the alphanumeric things is meaningless in the sentence in the NLP. So I'm going to remove the alphanumeric from the sentence. I also remove the punctuation. Example, I say that let me open up my whiteboard. Okay, maybe I said, Sean, how are you? This is a written text. But when we spoke, are we going to spell the word like Sean, comma, how are you? Question mark. No, we never do so, right? So we just get the feeling. The stop words we remove. The punctuation we remove. All these things are not important. Can we still process it? Yes, we can process it, but it's taking a lot of time. So we are helping our machine to simplify the features. So I remove the alphanumeric words. I remove the punctuation. I convert it into a lower cases. Why lower cases? Because in the text, I'm not going to say that capital S, small letter E, small letter A, small letter N. We are not going to do so. So no matter it is the capital or the small letter, the meaning won't change. So to make it standard, I convert it into a lower cases. Apply to all of this. So just now, when I have a little bit more, go until Jurong Point. The comma here is being removed. Crazy, punctuation being removed. The second line, okay lah, is being removed. Here, the three dots here is being removed. Okay. Now, we split the data. Is this text process called word normalization? If we convert, yes, correct. It's called word normalizations because we want to normalize the thing so that everything becomes the same. Or lower cases, remove the punctuation. So split the thing into testing and also training. To introduce to you what does it mean by a good machine learning, because a machine learning is going to help us to do generalizations. Usually when we say that the thing is overfit, that means this is not a good one because you are failed to generalize the trend. So don't go for overfit. Underfit, that means, hey, hello, the trend is over there, but the thing is not correctly being generalized. Reizuke, Reizuke, how can I open the ham and spam file? You need to use Jupyter notebook. Or maybe I give you the Anaconda. Yes, it's correct. You need to install this software, then you can open it. When you open it, it's actually open through your browser. And that's why you see now when I open this software, Jupyter Notebook. Oh yes, it's correct. Susan, thank you so much. Or alternately, you just going to the Google Colabs. It is an online version. Going to the Google Colabs and upload the file that you download. You should be able to see the file inside. Let me proceed. So we are going to have the center one, which is I'm able to generalize the trend, the pattern. So from here, you can either set testing size is equal to what, or maybe training size is equal to what. The last parameters here, random state is equal to 42. This is an unspoken secret for all the Python programmers. Whenever you see about 42, that means this number tell everybody that, this is a random state. Why we need random state in the machine learning is that we cannot fix, right? I cannot fix like row 1, row 2, row 3. This is the line that I want to use it for training. And for a better debugging and also accuracy enhancement, I can use any numbers. But why 42? Because the author of Python watched a movie. So that inside the movie, they say that 42 is the answer to this universe? It is a very long story, but you can search for this one. 42 is the answer to everything. So when the author of this Python they look for this they say, okay lah, we use 42. But if you change from 42 for the rest of the number, it still works. It still works. Okay, so now we already prepare the data. We already split the data into 70 and 30. You can change your own 0, 8 to what. Then moving forward, here is we want to extract the features. So under the scikit-learn, we have so many features that is available. I'm taking 2 examples here. Count vectorizer and also TF-IDF. Count vectorizer, lower version. TF-IDF, higher, better than count vectorizer. However, we still have more. But consider about the time here. We are going for these 2 only. So let's say a book that I own, say it removes an element of randomness if we start comparing different models, although I don't get the latter parts. Actually, you can play this, you know. When you debug this thing using 42, they're taking a set of, let's say we have 100 row of data. Yeah, I need to. Okay, if you take 42, the result, I would take 708 lah, 4330 4029, and also etc. If you turn into 40, that means the machine is going to help you to take another set. Look at this. I debug again. It did not change block. I changed to a small value. Okay, so the result is changing, but even though it is random, tak mungkin, it's very unlikely for the programmer to have, you know, a totally random thing. Then the program is actually out of control. So avoid that. So the scikit-learn said if you're going to use one number, then every time the machine can help you to capture the same row of data for your training and also the testing purposes. Now, if I change it back to 42, I run this thing again. Hey, I get back the 708 again. So this is about a random state that I mentioned to you just now. Jason, better understanding. We can continue to talk about this later on. Okay, count vectorizer. If one word is appear there, if one word is appear over there, I count as one lah. So just now, if let's say like this, go, I take 1. Until 1. Then later all together, I'm going to have a very huge table about each of the sentence there with their vector, with their features. But don't forget, we need to remove the stop words. Now, moving, we're going to use a logistic regression from the scikit-learn. A logistic regression is good if the classification is a binary one. xtrain.cv. There are some error in the code, not to say error lah. On the step number 4, you need to replace the CV parameters to vectorizer. Okay, so once you're able to run this thing, you are successfully finished almost the entire machine learning already. Now, in order for us to evaluate the machine learning, we're going to use a confusion matrix. However, I'm going to skip this part. Now, down there, I prepare a few different models. SVM, decision tree, random forest, and KNN. So these are the some machine learning approach where it is good for supervised machine learning. And also naive Bayes. So I'm taking, I give you some code in the naive Bayes already. You can execute, then you will get the result. So seems like from here, I thought we want to do a prediction. So here, I ask an input from the user. Let's say I'm sending a message. I dislike this coffee, you know, it is a terrible taste and it is very oily, really greasy. I hit enter. The sentence tell me it is a ham. And this is something from the logistic regression predictions. How about if, let's say, I wish to use other models, maybe let's say KNN. Demonstrate to you, I need to go to the scikit-learn official website, official documentations, this one. So here, this is the scikit-learn web page. I have the classification, regression, clustering, and also macam-macam, yeah. But seems like we are talking about the classification, classified whether it is a ham or a spam. So I'm going to the classification. Down there, I have so much more. So let's say I will go for KNN. KNN is not here, man. Nearest neighbors classification. So I need to know about their. Am I going to the wrong place? Near model unsupervised regression. Check out the regression first. I'm using the correct version, right? Okay. I think the library name is called scikit-learn not neighbors not .k neighbors classifier. So I'm going to replace the function name and paste it over here. For example, for look at the naive Bayes. Scikit-learn dot naive base. And so under the naive base, I have multinomial naive base. So for here, the KNN, it should be like 𝐶𝐭𝐫𝐴 dot neighbors, then just now we have that one, nearest neighbor. Follow this one. For random forest, decision tree, all these things that you can play on your own. Now, the last part will be the evaluation, the confusion matrix. Just now, I'm using the logistic regression, and it seems like from the accuracy 0.9, very good, very promising. Precision 1.0, the best. Recall 0.888, F1 score, this one. So to compare, if let's say now I'm using naive base, I run this one. There are some parts need you to replace all the CV into vectorizer. So for logistic regression, I get 0.985. For naive base, we get 0.986, slightly better. But in terms of the precision, just now I get 1 more. This round, I get 0.943. So that means there are some pros and cons. It solely depends on how you're going to justify that. Study Gen committee, please allow me to have another 5 to 10 minutes so that I can conclude the entire sharing sessions. Is that okay? Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm telling you how to change into different models, already. So here, if you give it a try, you will notice that no matter how bad your sentence is, the result still giving you a ham result. Apa macam? I thought machine learning, you should give us a more accurate one, even though our accuracy can go until 0.9, 0.986 already. So here is the thing that you need to think. Something we need to ponder. Yeah. So my question is, why the result keep showing us a ham? So if you execute this one, you notice that the data set that I provided to you is not really a good one. Why I say so? Because the data set is an imbalanced data set. Yes, it's correct. So just now, one of our friends are asking Dr. Yu, hey, sorry, everybody, the KKM is calling me. One moment. Hey, everybody, so sorry. The KKM from the TT Wangsa called me to have an interview. My bad, so let us continue a little bit. So from here, say, okay, so if you run this code, you're going to see that it is an imbalance data set. It is an imbalance data set. So the ham is definitely higher than the span. So this is an imbalance data set. So last one, I put in there, how to deal with an imbalance data set. There are actually many ways. Undersampling, oversampling, or maybe we can create some synthesis data. So just now, Dr. Yu mentioned that we can use a technique called SMOTE, S-M-O-T-E. That is a method for us to generate some synthesis data. But don't worry on this because the SMOTE function is also available in the scikit-learn. And things to ponder, if we say undersampling, that means for those very high quantity data set, I need to cut off like. It is called undersampling. This is not a good one, or in my point of view, because I already have many different data in hand. Now you ask me, no, cannot. I need to cut off some. So personally, from my experience, I will prefer oversampling than undersampling. So everybody, I hope this is a beginning of your journey in the natural language processing. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you so much for your focus. I will pass my microphone back to our community. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. Thank you everyone for your participation. We will now be having our group photo session. Please turn on your cameras for the group photo. Everyone, don't be shy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you. Now this is the QR code and link to our feedback form. We would greatly appreciate it if you could provide feedback on for the speaker or the events in general. And this is the link and the QR code for the completion form. Please do fill up this form if you have completed the Machine Learning Study Jam, and don't forget to upload your certificate of completion from Kaggle. Here are the resources that we use for the study jam. The resources will also be available at the resource channel on the Discord server, and also it will be pasted on the Zoom chat. Last but not least, don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates and stay tuned for future events. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a nice day.